every week to the highest points.
What is that?
Oh. Let me send out this link real quick.
Yeah, are we on YouTube or Twitch?
Picture of myself here. Want to do golfing nights when that comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, we should co-op that.
Sure. I don't remember.
If it's only 2-player, then we could like cycle in and out. Yeah. I'm saying like the nights that he's gonna stream it, either one of us, if we're available, we could just yeah. Me neither. I've been. Oh, you couldn't get into it? Oh, that's a shame. What's our YouTube link?
You just send it to me.
Yeah, but we're not on Twitch, so it's not gonna grab it. No, yeah, whatever works. It's just
we've talked about it before too. I'm relatively sure that not a lot of people are watching podcasts on Twitch, especially live.
no. With the podcast, it's more about the actual podcast channels, which is why I wanted to set that up. But hopefully, as our channels grow on Twitch and YouTube, it'll pull in to the other shows. So. I ain't ready. Twitter. That's my Twitter. Retweet. I gotta go to mine and retweet it. Feedback. Where's that come from?
I don't hear it.
I must be coming from you then.
Is that better? That'll be a problem. Actually, I just like wave my phone across the mic though.
All right, boys, we are live. I'm gonna take my glasses off. Hopefully, I'll be able to see the chat. What's going on, fellas? Oh man,
It's good.
Hi, everybody.
I gotta pull up the chat myself.
so we got a couple of things before we kind of jump into it. Everyone, thank you for jumping in. As you do, join us in the chat. Please let us know what you think. Like and subscribe for all this kind of stuff, for all the reactions, future gaming videos and anything else we do in the future. Join the social medias. They're scrolling at the bottom. I got my man Scythex and Zuplex City here. Thanks for taking the time out, boys. And we're gonna kind of get right into it. So I have I have a couple things I wanted to talk about. Thing number one is She-Hulk. Episode 2 was full of Easter eggs. Big Easter egg bonanza in that episode. I also wanted to talk about House of the Dragon. What's up, Johnny? Johnny Butters in the chat.
Butters.
I hope you're caught up too. I know, Scythe, you're not big into House of the Dragon, but
no, but I do have a question.
yeah.
Since both of you were, as we discussed before we went live, the beginning of Game of Thrones wasn't really your thing. How is this in comparison to the original as far as the beginning goes, and would it be worth it for me considering it's a prequel to jump in it?
So I'll give you my answer first. That's a good question. All right. That's a solid question. I actually had a conversation about this earlier today. So I think I've said this before about Better Call Saul, that I personally like Better Call Saul. I thought, it was better than Breaking Bad was from beginning to end. Breaking Bad ended phenomenal, but started off, in my opinion, very slow. And I thought Better Call Saul was just great. But did I think that because I liked Breaking Bad so much, or because Better Call Saul was just a better show? That's kind of a hard question to answer. Right now, based off of just 2 episodes for House of the Dragon, I'm in a similar boat. I feel like the very first 2 episodes of House of the Dragon are actually better than the very first 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. But is that because I like Game of Thrones so much, or because it actually is better? I guess you don't really know.
I mean, I'll say that I think that the first 2 episodes, we were talking earlier, and I basically said that, the first 4 episodes of Game of Thrones really didn't lead you to want to watch what's going to happen next. It's not until episode 5 where you really start getting hooked. This show, first episode for me was a little slow. It was giving me that same kind of thing. This second episode, I'm all in. I can't wait to see what happens now.
Right. Right.
Because they started off a lot stronger.
I think so.
Than they did in Game of Thrones. And I don't think it's because we love Game of Thrones so much. I think it's noticeably stronger.
Yeah.
Like in the second episode, we already got dragons. Like first episode, we got dragons, but the second episode, we got dragons.
But I think,
you know what I mean?
I think part of it, too, is that the first, like you said, 4 or 5 episodes of Game of Thrones, they have to introduce kind of the world you're living in, the characters that are going to be main players, the houses, and just how everything kind of works with each other. Here, I guess they're assuming you know that already from Game of Thrones. So they kind of just jump right into it. We're after 2 episodes, we're knee deep in some major storylines and higher stakes than we were until maybe the end of season 2 of Game of Thrones. So that's where I really feel like this is kind of exceeding. It's kind of jumping out of the gate running, so to speak.
Okay, maybe I'll check it out then.
You should.
It's definitely worth.
Yeah, it's worth it.
And you don't need to actually watch Game of Thrones to watch this prequel, because
right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fun little details and Easter eggs that you're gonna miss if you didn't watch Game of Thrones. But it seems 2 episodes in to be standing on its own as its own standalone story, where it's not really gonna be required for you to have watched Game of Thrones to enjoy it.
I agree with that. 100%. I do think there's no visually the show just it looks better, but again, they're basically enhancing what we already had. So that's kind of hard to say if it's actually better or just because the first one came out already. And they're starting off with a bigger budget than Game of Thrones started off with. So there's a lot that kind of, I guess, goes into that question. It's kind of a loaded question, I guess, if I'm trying to be honest. But I think you should maybe watch the first episode or two and see if you like it. I mean, you know, the thing with Game of Thrones is that the way the show ended, it was a much different show than the beginning. So technically, the way this show is, the way this just the story based off of the books, it shouldn't change too much. They're not going to go into some giant, you know, sci-fi fantasy war with zombies and all that stuff. That shouldn't be what really happens. So, you know, who knows? They could change their mind, but
I never read any of the books, so
me neither.
I'm like even with when the original series was on, I never read any of the books. Like I just, you know, I never really wanted to.
Right.
It seemed like a lot of reading.
Yeah, no, I read that
I already watched.
I want to say I read the first 5 books, but the last 2 books at this point are never coming out. So I've basically read the entire series at this point. Before we get into the real kind of meat and potatoes of episode 2 of House of the Dragon, I do have kind of an open-ended question. It was a good question that was asked to me by a coworker, and I wanted to throw it out there to you guys. But I want you guys to help me steer the ship a little bit. Do you want to start with that, or should we get into She-Hulk first? What do you guys think?
I think we should do She-Hulk last, to be honest with you, because that's the main course, right?
All right, Fred, what do you think? Same thing?
Fine with me. Yeah.
All right. So here's, and I came up with a few examples for this question, but here's the open-ended question. If you had to choose to basically follow the same career path of these 3 actors, which one would you choose? Kevin Bacon, Sean Penn, or Val Kilmer? Now, not their lives. This is just their career path, the movies they made, and like the stardom they achieved. Which one of those would you choose? Let's throw it to Scythe first. Go ahead.
Probably Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, and you got to explain it though. I need answers.
Batman, regardless if you liked him or not, you're still being Batman. And Top Gun, and there's another movie that I like that he's in, and I can't think of it right now, but just off those 2 movies alone, that's a hell of a ride for a career.
Let me ask you this question. If he's not in Top Gun, is the movie still the Top Gun we know and love today?
No. Yeah.
What? See, I just don't. You guys like. See, I don't. Top Gun doesn't connect to me like you guys do. Anybody can play Iceman.
No, that is not true.
He's not that special as Iceman. Come on.
That is not true. Not anybody can play Iceman.
Look, admittedly, I'm not such a diehard Top Gun fan like you guys are, but like, you don't think anybody else could? I friggin' what the hell's his name? The guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off could have played Iceman, and it would have been just as good.
I'll say this: sure, there could be another person somewhere.
It would have been the same.
Stop it.
There could possibly be somebody else out there that would have done a good job, but I don't want there to be another person.
Well,
so.
I guess that's a whole other question, right? I feel like if you had said, no one else could have played Doc Holliday, whatever, in Tombstone, then okay, I see it. Yeah, Val Kilmer, he brought that role to life basically. But Iceman, I feel like anyone could have played. But all right, so Fred, you chose Val Kilmer. Okay, Carmine, who would you pick out of that 3?
Going Bacon, man.
See, that's what I went with too. Actually, unanimously, everyone I asked said Kevin Bacon. That's why I was so surprised when Fred said Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, yes, the beginning of his career, real genius, Top Gun, Tombstone, like amazing. Right after that, man, he went downhill fast, bro.
The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, the Island of Dr. Moreau.
That's a horrible movie.
No,
but he did have a good cameo in Entourage.
Yeah, he had a good cameo in Entourage, but like, and to be fair, his health issues outside of his career are what caused him to pretty much have to stop acting altogether.
True.
So we don't know what he could have done later on, right? But going off of just his career is like towards the end of it, he was making like direct-to-video movies, like no one wanted to watch them. Bacon, I feel like never really missed a step.
See,
Bacon's in everything, and he's attached to everything somehow.
He's kind of like the white Samuel L. Jackson. He's in like every movie, and he's basically good in everything he does. I mean, they're not all like serious movies, and they're not all like blockbusters and all that kind of stuff. But you know.
Like, yeah, Sean Penn, you get the both sides of it, where you get the '80s like teen movies, but you also get the Oscar-winning performances of Harvey Milk and all that other stuff. So it's kind of but Penn, like, his movies always kind of boring too.
See, that's my thing. I feel like Kevin Bacon. So I agree with you, Site, though, about Val Kilmer played Batman, and that is before Batman really went off the rails. That was the last like entertaining one.
Kevin Bacon played Sebastian, what's his face in the X-Men movie.
What does that matter?
I'm just saying, he was in a superhero movie too.
No, it's not about superhero movie. He played Batman. You know what I mean? And that was before the bat nipples were a thing. But I feel like besides that, I feel like Kevin Bacon basically just has a more fun career. You know what I mean? Overall. Whereas Val Kilmer, and I guess it's kind of like you said, Carmine, Val Kilmer and Sean Penn went the kind of dramatic, I want Oscars route. And it just kind of,
if it wasn't Val Kilmer, it would be Bacon for me. I think Penn is by far out of the question.
Johnny Butter says, I love Bacon, but I have to agree with Scythe. Kilmer had better roles to remember. I mean, I guess if you're judging off of roles that kind of will go down in history, then you have to kind of give it to Val Kilmer, I would say, because he's got more roles that I think will just, we'll be watching with our kids and kind of being like, yeah, that dude's Val Kilmer. Where Kevin Bacon, Footloose, I guess, is the last one that he would go down in history for. Maybe Hollow Man, maybe.
Hollow Man.
But now here's another three that I thought would kind of suit you guys, since you guys are wrestling fans. The Rock, John Cena, and Batista. If you had to swap careers with them, with one of them.
It's The Rock. I mean,
it's The Rock.
But why, though? Yeah. See, but why? Just because he makes money? They all make money. But they all make money. They all make money.
7 movies a year.
John Cena's creeping up that now that he's finally getting roles, but I mean, The Rock hit the movie. He hit Hollywood running, like he hit the ground running.
But you wouldn't argue that Dave Batista has a better, more respectable career. I know The Rock makes money. He's like a gold mine. But Batista is in a much bigger range of movies. The Rock is The Rock. We say it all the time that The Rock is just The Rock in every movie.
We say it all the time.
He was in Blade Runner. He was in Spectre, the James Bond movie.
Like, all he plays is the oafish bad guy, like the big tough bad guy, like the muscle. Plays the bodyguard. Like, what are we talking about here? You're not the star of James Bond.
I know he wasn't the star of James Bond, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, The Rock is the star in every movie he's in.
But The Rock is just The Rock. I mean, like,
we're getting a Black Adam movie that's not even Black Adam. It's just The Rock.
It's The Rock in a Black Adam cosplay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, if that was Batista, it would be Black Adam.
It would be exactly. So wouldn't you want Batista
as Superman? It's just The Rock pretending to be Superman.
Well, have you seen? But speaking of that, have you seen the memes that are going viral right now for that Super Pets movie? Like the after credit scene, it's The Rock playing Superman's pet, talking to Black Adam, who's played by The Rock in the movie, and Black Adam's pet, who's also played by The Rock in the movie. And people are like, this is just basically what's happening in real life. The Rock is taking over every single superhero possible. He's taking over the entire DCEU.
And why wouldn't you want that in your career?
Well, you know what? I guess I kind of shot myself in the foot there. That kind of makes sense. Yeah. All right, you win that one. You beat me there. What about if you threw in Russell Crowe, Christian Bale, and Joaquin Phoenix? Which one would you take?
Russell Crowe, Christian Bale.
It would be between Crowe and Bale. I think.
I think I agrre with you there.
Are you Batman? Are you the Joker? Is that basically what you're asking, right?
That's all they're known for, right? They haven't done anything else.
Think about it. Like, if you're Bale, like, you're Batman. Like, and you're most people's wrong interpretation of Batman.
Oh, Kilmer. Johnny Butters does point out Val Kilmer's role in Heat with Robert De Niro. I mean, that's a classic. Yeah, I'll give him that. So maybe you may have swayed me. You may have swayed me. I went Kevin Bacon, but the more we talk about Val Kilmer, I'm like, you know what?
Got some classics in there, man.
He does have some classic movies in there.
Footloose, bro.
Yeah, but Footloose is. I mean, it's a classic, but like, so we named Doc Holliday. His character in Heat.
Throw a batarang than
Animal House.
Yes. Yeah.
Animal House.
He'd rather throw a batarang and you fight Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
Yeah.
Sadly, Jim Carrey might be the more memorable version of the Riddler. Paul Dano was good, but no one's gonna. You can forget Paul Dano. You might not forget. You're not gonna
I
forget.
don't want to go down that road again with you. What was it? It was Crow and who? Bale?
Crow, Bale, and Joaquin Phoenix.
Crow had some banger movies, man.
Yeah, but his career kind of fell off a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, what would you say is the last good movie that Russell Crowe made? Like, and when I say good, I don't mean like it scored well, but like you saw it and was like, this movie's awesome.
I can't even remember like the last.
He made. I don't know.
Gladiator is one of my favorite movies.
Like, wow.
Yeah, like I feel like Gladiator might be the last time that I was blown away by a movie of his.
Yeah.
He also had that like schizophrenic math movie. They like
Right.
won an Oscar.
A Beautiful Mind.
right?
Yeah.
Beautiful Mind. Yeah.
I mean,
You know,
right now it's tough for me because the thing I remember Crow in is Thor: Love and Thunder, and he was horrible, and the movie just wasn't that great. So like,
So I love his interpretation of Zeus
I
playing
do.
a Eurotrash Greek guy with a skirt. It was fucking hysterical.
I do like his
Yeah.
interpretation,
Like,
but I'm eager to see more before I judge whether it's a good interpretation or not. Because it was really just it was played more of like a cameo, like a comedy cameo. It wasn't as serious as I kind of hoped, you know.
He was like one step away from being like, yeah, discotheque, yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No,
like, I
listen,
loved
you're not
every
off.
second of it.
You're definitely not
I loved
off.
every second of it. Oh man.
I'm trying to think of other three. Those are the groups that I wrote down. But there's definitely more you can ask about that. It's a good question to ask.
Yeah, it is a good question to ask. I like that one. I might go Joaquin on that one though, man.
I feel like he's probably got a more he's kind of got like that mysterious, you know, you never know what movie he's going to do next, but when he does do a movie, it's like a big deal kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the other two don't really have that.
Like, the more I think about it, like I rewatched Joker recently, and that movie really is amazing, man.
It is.
Like
it is.
And for all you know,
and a lot of that is him. I mean, like he really kills that whole movie.
Him. It's all him. Like it's really something that, like, without him, that movie doesn't work.
Right.
At all.
Right, and that's a good argument for like I don't know that anyone else could have been in that role and done it any better.
No, that one I don't think. Like definitely, no one else could be Iceman, and no one else could be Joker in that movie.
I don't know about the Iceman thing. But I got a good one. Actually, I just thought of a real good one. If you had to choose Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, or Samuel L. Jackson.
It's Denzel, baby. All day.
Yeah, but your logic before with The Rock dictates that you should be picking Samuel L. Jackson.
Listen, I love Samuel L. Jackson. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But Denzel
is
come on, man.
The most he's top 5 in acting. Like the dude's a legend.
I can't argue that one. And he's still to this day, even if he's done some stinkers, he's still to this day. Like if he's in a movie, then you're just excited to see it.
You're just watching it because his name is on it.
What about
no one saw The Equalizer 2? It was still amazing because Denzel was in it.
I saw it. I didn't see it in theaters though. I waited till it was streamed.
I didn't see it yet.
It's all right. It's it's The Equalizer.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it this way: after he did The Equalizer 2, they turned it into a show because that's how bad it was.
I loved 1, 2, 3 Pelham. I thought that's
amazing. An underrated movie. People won't watch it because it's about a train, and they're like, "What's so exciting about that?" But it's actually really good.
And it's funny. The other train movie he did was also extremely good. When he was what's the name? The engineer, and the train couldn't stop. And
what was that?
Fired over that. Chris Pine. Yeah,
I can't remember what that one was, but that's another great one too. But I don't know, Samuel L. Jackson, besides the Marvel stuff, he was in Die Hard with a Vengeance, which is probably my favorite Die Hard. So it's like
Sam Jackson has a great resume.
Snakes on a Plane.
I don't know, man.
You know, he's the kind of guy who elevates the material, but so does Morgan Freeman and Denzel. So that's kind of like a wash in the three of them. It's easy not to pick Morgan Freeman there because your life just becomes narrating different things, and while he's got the right voice for it, it's like that's not what I would want to do.
Yeah. That's probably my toughest matchup, I would think.
Okay, so I got you. I got you with one of them. I got you with one of them. The other ones you answered quick. I got you with one of them though.
That one was definitely a little bit. No.
Butters says he would have picked Joaquin Phoenix because besides Joker, Walk the Line was a classic.
Yeah, like Walk the Line, he was really good in too. He's a good actor, man. Joaquin was good.
Yeah,
that's why like a lot of people like bagging on this whole like Joker 2 idea of it being a musical and having Lady Gaga. I think it might work.
But my question
I mean, it
is,
might,
like,
but-
how much of a music? Like, are they calling it a musical just to make us think that, almost like to send us down a certain rabbit hole? And is it really going to be a musical, like a Disney musical, or is it going to be more of like they sing like two songs in the whole thing, and they're like dream sequences? You know what I mean? Like, it could work if they do it the right way.
I have a funny feeling it's going to have musical numbers in it and not be
Right.
full blown music. No.
I'm curious. I feel it's just so weird that they would advertise the musical part, because I don't think that that's going to be like, I don't think that that's really what they want to go with it.
No one really advertised the musical. Like, they didn't advertise the musical part. It's a leak that came out that it's going to be a musical. So we don't even know. It may not even be true. You know.
Yeah. I hear you. It was a leak. I guess that's true.
No, it's not like they came out and they're like, it's going to be a musical.
And another iteration of Harley Quinn with Lady Gaga, and
But that's
assuming
just
she's singing in the musical.
right. But now, so is that the motivation for calling it a musical? Because she's going to sing in it.
I don't know.
I think the whole. Like, what do you think of the fact that they recast with Lady Gaga, or they're bringing a new version of Harley Quinn in with Lady Gaga, or Lady Gaga?
I just don't know what DC's doing in general. So at this point, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with it because, like, listen, at the end of the day, the first Joker movie was amazing, right? Like, we all agree that it was amazing. It didn't fit into any other, like, external universe or this, that, or the other thing, and it was still amazing. So if you can keep bringing us, like, amazing movies with these characters and with this content, that don't necessarily lead into a bigger universe, I'm okay with that. Not everything has to be the DCEU. You know what I'm saying? Not everything has to be the MC. Not everything has to be the Predator universe or the universe.
I don't know, man. It's been like that, and it's just we're not getting anywhere. I want to see an actual friggin' plan.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Give us actual good projects, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree.
They've given us this splintered universe with shitty projects, so it makes it feel so much worse. If we got like a Booster Gold movie, Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie that was as good as the Joker was, but in like a different way, obviously, you know, like, would you care that it wasn't tied to Black Adam and it wasn't tied to
probably, honestly, I would care.
Yeah. I feel like
you guys are too locked into this universe. You guys love phases so much. That's the problem.
Phases so much. My problem is, and I've been saying this since DC started, the only other universe of movies that could rival Marvel, I feel, is the DC universe. It's built for it with the comic books and all that stuff. They have storylines that are already linked to each other. There's zero reason why we can't get another shared universe. It doesn't need to just be one. We should have more. And the fact that they can't get their shit together, that they keep almost reacting too quickly to things, it's just brutal to me that they can't get it right. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, in order for us to see a Batman versus Superman that actually hits all the right notes, you need to establish the characters first.
I just want to see
storylines work that way.
A big story, and I want to see it pay off.
Yeah.
Like the Joker is a one-off. Like, oh, we saw young Bruce Wayne. It's like, all right, well,
great.
Can we see that Bruce Wayne kind of grown up with Joker in the background doing fuck shit?
Right.
Like, I want to see that. I want to build on that. You know what I mean? Like,
and they could have used the Batman to link to, like, they could have said that took place, I don't know, 17 years after Joker or whatever.
And it was just a complete, no, this is different.
Right.
And this, you know, that Joker was 30 years ago or whatever.
I think my problem too with the Joker 2 rumors and all that stuff is that we get Discovery buying DC or buying WB, basically saying we're scrapping shit, we're starting from scratch. We promise you guys we're going to do it right. We're going to come up with a 10-year plan. We're hiring a Kevin Feige, the whole nine, and we're like, okay, good.
We'll take a hike.
yeah. You know, then we're like, okay, good. You know, they're making the right choices. And then they're like, but, you know, we're still going to release the Flash.
And
you're like, oh, all right. And then they're like, oh, you know that Blue Beetle movie? Yeah, we're going to release that one too. And you're like, okay, but is that going to tie into the new stuff? And you're like, well, probably not. Oh, by the way, Black Adam. Yeah,
Black Adam coming, like,
and then The Rock's like, yeah, Black Adam's starting its own new universe with brand new
are
heroes.
Those all soft reboots going into whatever
That's what I'm saying.
DC's gonna come up with?
They're gonna be, listen, it's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars on these movies. They have to recoup some.
But I'm not.
Discovery would be absolutely out of their minds to just shit can these movies and not release them.
But don't mistake what I'm saying for they shouldn't release the movies. All I want is transparency. Like real Kevin Feige tells us enough where we're like, we know what's coming, and he just keeps the details out so that we can still be surprised when we go see the movie. Like, don't tell us you have a 10-year plan, but then also start telling us when things are going to release that have nothing to do with that plan without explaining, well, we're just releasing because we made them and they're good movies and whatever.
Right.
And it's going to reset.
In my mind, it's don't worry about these movies. They're going to come out. We're going to get over with it. And then we're going to launch into our plan. So it's like, why do I need to give a shit about these movies coming out? I don't. And if I watch them, I watch them. If I don't, I don't. It doesn't matter to the overall grand scheme of things.
Right.
So what's the point?
Not everything this is like you guys are so stuck in everything have to stick to an overall grand scheme of things. It could just be a fun movie.
Because that's what I want. That's what I know. Man. That's what I know works. Because Marvel's proven that. It's what I know works, and it's what I would want in DC.
Doesn't mean that the other way doesn't work either.
It hasn't been working. They've been making random DC movies for years. That hasn't been working.
It hasn't been working.
Trying to shoehorn them all together into one stupid.
But they haven't
universe.
though. Wonder Woman 84 is not shoehorned into any universe, and it was garbage, straight trash.
Sure it is, because you already had her
debut
in a Batman versus Superman movie.
Sure it is.
You're
so confident. It had nothing to do with anything.
All our current DC all these current actors that are in DC are just left over from the Snyderverse that that WB abandoned. So it's like all these movies just don't make sense in what's happening on a bigger scale.
And you're moving forward. You're releasing shit that's not going to have anything to do with whatever 10-year plan you come up with.
Right, and you're releasing Flashpoint, which is a major DC event, and it's just gonna die when the credits roll because it's not part of whatever the plan is.
Flashpoint, but maybe they're reworking Flashpoint to be the reason why the universe is reset.
I would love that.
I would love that. But say it. Tell us that.
Explain it. They have to explain that.
The DCEU, and you guys will be happy.
But they need.
I would be.
They need to explain it though. I agree with you, Scythe. They need to tell us. They need to basically say to us, like, have a little faith. We're gonna basically reboot with Flashpoint, and then
they
just
reshot the whole ending to the Flash. So there could be something very well at the end of that where it's like, you know, Ezra Miller's out. Here's our new Flash because of Flashpoint or some bullshit. You know what I mean? But like
more along the lines of like this, the ending of Flashpoint is going to reset all the universes, and that'll give us an idea of what type of situation we're heading into. For the next
I hope so, because right now it's like that's such a major thing to put out in live action on on you know, in the movies theaters, and it's like, where do we go from there? Because that whole universe that they were trying to build is like just in shambles, and now we're starting something else. So it's kind of difficult to follow what they're doing.
I mean, it's right now it is, but you know, it's going to be difficult. The transition period is going to be way more difficult for DC right now because, you know, like we said, like they're going to scrap basically everything they have in pre-production, but they already have movies in the can, so they can't scrap those. So the transition period is going to be them releasing these movies, and then at some point being like, okay, they're gone, they're done, they've been released. This is what we're going to do going forward. You know what I'm saying?
Can I point this out to you though? So they're still releasing Blue Beetle, The Flash, Black Adam, Aquaman 2, right? How bad was Batgirl that they just flat out decided to cancel it?
Exactly.
Like
wild.
Like that must have been really bad.
You're 100% right. Because you know those Discovery execs watched Batgirl and they were like, we're not releasing this. Are you guys out of your fucking minds? What were you thinking?
Right. It would, and that's a movie that was filmed, edited.
Yeah.
The sound was done.
It's in like the same stage as the Flash right now.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, nah, we're done.
And someone was like, well, all right, we'll just put it on HBO Max. And they were like, no.
I think Discovery bought WB to cancel that movie. They're just like, no.
All last summer, all Warner Brothers did was release all their big movies on HBO Max.
Right.
And they could have done that with Batgirl, and that they were even like, nah,
Yeah.
keep it.
They didn't even want to like.
And the negatives. Never show.
It's not going to DVD. It's not going to streaming. Get rid of it.
Like they could have just released it on YouTube for free, just to be like, just let people see it.
Yeah.
We did all this work, like, but instead they were like, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make one announcement. It's fucking trash. We're not gonna show it to anybody. You know, somewhere. I mean, I understand that, they're doing. Did you hear that they're doing a like a ceremonial like viewing on the Warner Brothers lot for the people who made
just
the movie?
for the cast and crew,
basically to be like, this is the piece of shit that you guys thought we were going to release. Like, fuck you guys can all watch this, and then we're going to burn it in front of you.
I honestly think
that would be hilarious if they're all. Well, I'm sorry, if they're all watching it and you know how you ever see film burn?
Yeah, like bubbles
theater?
up, right?
Oh,
You just see it burn, and they're like, "That's it, you guys are done. Get out of here."
Somewhere,
like
if there's like
glorious bastards.
if there's like if a video goes viral of like somebody recording that on their cell phone, like some WB exec or whatever, Discovery exec, and he releases it just to be like, this is how bad this movie was, I feel like I would gain so much respect for WB.
That'd be amazing.
Batgirl can't even hit Pirate Bay. That's so true.
You're talking about the same company that released that Catwoman movie with Halle Berry.
That's what I'm saying. This is how bad Batgirl was.
This was too bad. I'm thinking this was a woke nightmare.
Probably. Maybe it was. Maybe they would.
Who knows?
I feel like what really happened was there was like a. I feel like it was made at a time where the merger was in the middle of kind of going on, and so many questions being thrown around that nobody really had their eyes on it. So the people who were working on it just kind of got to do whatever they wanted, and there was nobody to be like, what are you doing? What is that? So like then they finished it and we're like, yeah, guys, we got a finished product. And like you said, they were in some like executive room, like, all right, let's watch and see, how much money we're going to spend on marketing, whatever. And when it was done, somebody vomited into a pail on the side. Someone else ran out of the room. Someone called their spouse and said, we gotta get a divorce because this is just where my life is right now.
Yeah.
And they were like, you just destroyed this entire office. We're selling the WB.
Who is playing Batgirl?
I don't even know, to be honest.
I have to look her up, but it was all no name people. I mean, it was all,
But even still, that like she's never gonna work again.
You realize that Michael Keaton was the only good part about Batgirl. He was gonna come back as Batman. That was basically the only reason why anybody was gonna watch it. Why is he
coming back to Batgirl and I don't understand. Like, what is our plan here?
Leslie Grace was gonna play Batgirl.
What is happening?
See, but this is my point.
Still has like set pictures and shit.
But this is my point, though. They were bringing J.K. Simmons back as Commissioner Gordon to tie it into the DCEU, but Batgirl wasn't going to be a part of the DCEU, and going forward, the Snyderverse was garbage anyway. So why would he come back as Commissioner Gordon?
They had Brendan Fraser playing Firefly in this movie.
That was actually the thing people were most upset about. Was that Brendan Fraser lost out on a job?
Yeah, poor guy.
This is like definitely a wake up call for Michael Keaton, right? He wanted to stay away from Batman for a while. Then he did Birdman and was kind of like, oh, maybe the hero movies aren't so bad. Then he did Vulture and Spider-Man, and suddenly everyone loved him again. And he was like, you know what? I'll come back as like superhero stuff. Then they were like, you want to be Batman again? And he was like, sure, why not? He filmed 2 movies, and both those movies are basically being thrown out. He's going to bed like, fuck that. I'm never coming back
Michael
as Batman.
Keaton destroys DC.
Is the Batman curse now?
Maybe.
He's the DC curse now?
You heard it here first, folks. We just discovered it.
First,
Michael Keaton.
On the Theater Room. Episode, what are we, 53?
52 today. Episode 52. Yeah. If you want to know why why Warner Brothers sold to Discovery, Michael Keaton came back as Batman. He's the reason.
Michael Keaton has cursed the entirety of Warner Brothers in the DCEU.
You think he's probably having nightmares curled up in his room, kind of like, why can't I be Batman again? This sucks. Oh, man. It's third time's a charm, right? So he didn't want to. The third Batman movie tends to be the worst one, and he didn't want to do a third one to avoid that curse. Ben Affleck tried to do a third one, got fired from it. Then Michael Keaton said, you know what, I'll come back and do it. And
Dark Knight Rises was hot garbage.
Right. Michael Keaton said, you know what, I'm going to break the curse. I'm going to come back. I'm going to be Batman. The fans loved it. Then Warner Brothers saw some footage of him in Batgirl and was like, nope, nope. And then they got rid of it. So we just broke it down here, guys. We just figured it all out. All it took was a little brainstorm.
That's
We
it.
cracked the code.
WB has just been Beetlejuice, Johnny Butters says. Yeah. Yeah, they said it 3 times, and then he came back and destroyed it. So anyway, moving on from more
The
DCU
random
bashing.
DC rant that we just went on.
We started talking about actors that we liked and who we would want to switch places with.
Honestly, it happens every time we bring up DC. We go on like a 20-minute rant about how much it's hot garbage.
It shows you how bad DC is.
Do you
dude.
want to be Val Kilmer? Or...
That's how it started. I mentioned Val Kilmer. You mentioned that he was in Batman, and that's it. Then we went right down the rabbit hole.
Oh, and then we mentioned The Rock also.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, playing Black Adam and taking over.
Right down the rabbit hole. Oh,
That's amazing. I love that.
Oh, yeah. While Scythe is wearing a Marvel shirt.
Facts.
Anyway,
Not biased, I swear.
before we get into She-Hulk, let's just briefly talk about House of the Dragon. So we're on episode 2 now. Let me pull up a.
All right.
No, we did
Go
a little
for
bit
it.
in the beginning, but it wasn't. Let me just pull
Do
up a
your
little
thing.
image here. I wanted to talk to you, Carmine. What were your thoughts on episode 2 for your House of the Dragon?
really strong. Really strong episode. Are we doing spoilers? Are we doing no spoilers?
I mean,
I don't know.
I want to avoid spoilers, but honestly, it's hard to talk about just these shows without talking about spoilers. So
When does that show come out?
on Sunday at 9.
Oh, so it's pretty recent.
That's what I'm saying. Like episode 1, we could talk about spoilers for sure, because if you haven't watched it by now, you're an asshole. But episode 2 just came out.
Listen, if you haven't watched it yet, pause it right here, go watch it, and then come back.
Hold on, let's all make a funny face for the pause. There you go. There you go.
All right.
That works.
Pause it right there. Come back and listen to the rest of this, because there's no way we could talk about this without spoiling.
This is the kind of show where every line someone says could be a potential spoiler. So you
This
really
is your official warning. Don't get mad at us. Don't start sending hate comments our way that we spoiled Game of Thrones for you.
you can send them my way, but make the hate comments creative, because if it's just generic like you're fat, that's not going to do it for me.
So I thought it was really strong. Like the ending of this episode, not even like the surprise at the end, but like the last scene with I can't remember any of these Targaryens' freaking names.
Damon
man.
with the brother.
The brother I remember, because he's the only one with a normal name. The rest of them are like Rasharshis, Starshis, the little girl.
Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra. When she flies in on the dragon and she just challenges him face to face, like, yo, I'm the heir to the throne, bitch. Give me back my dragon egg. Otherwise, my tiny dragon's going to rip a hole through your giant ass dragon, and we can fucking do this.
I wish
you don't got the balls to kill me, so back off.
There is a part of me that wishes they talk like that. Like she got off the dragon and was like, do something, motherfucker. Shit.
Yeah, she basically one step to him was just like, if you're going to do it,
yeah,
like jump. Like,
I'm here, motherfucker. Let's go.
Here, Froggy, let's jump, bitch. Let's go.
I will say though, so the one complaint that's pretty consistent with Game of Thrones, especially in the last 2 seasons, is that things they travel too quickly. They're like flying from the northern parts of the map to the southern parts of the map in like a day, and it should just take longer than that. Not even a day, but in hours, and it should take way longer than that. Not even flying, just riding. And there was a little bit of that in this episode when the Hand of the King is like, no, you don't go to Dragonstone, I'll go. And then it kind of cuts, he's there already. And I get that time passes and they just don't have to show us the trip every time. But there was something about Game of Thrones that I liked about that.
See, like 2 days of them on the road being like, yeah, so swords, right?
No, you don't. But a big part, if you watch the first, say, 4 seasons at least of Game of Thrones, a big part of the things that happen are while they're on the road. Especially back then, the plan is, I'm going from Winterfell to King's Landing. All right, no problem. It sounds like an easy trip. But the road there was dangerous, and there was a lot of things that could happen. And more often than not, you didn't make it to your destination when you were supposed to. So, like, that kind of added to a lot of the intrigue, in my opinion. So I kind of want them to stick with that. However...
We're 2 episodes in. We still may get something like that, though.
Yeah, and on the map, on the Westeros map, King's Landing and Dragonstone is not that far apart, so I guess it could be somewhat of a quick trip. But that's just one thing I want them to avoid, because to make the show feel realistic, that generally, like, put it this way, in the beginning of Game of Thrones, you know, the king shows up at Winterfell, tells Ned, "You're gonna be my hand." By the end of the episode, they leave. The next, I want to say, I think was just at least one episode, they're on the road, and you see some conversations they have, and some things happen at a camp they stay at, and whatever. Yeah. And then the next episode, they get to King's Landing. So it's not like you're spending tons of time on the traveling, but there is that portion just to make you feel like you actually are watching these people kind of live this lifestyle. So, but that's just, you know, it's a personal gripe.
It takes like 4 or 5 episodes to get into Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
that's why.
That's why.
That makes sense.
Hey, at least Michael Keaton's not going to show up as Batman and ruin it.
Facts.
3 episodes of them traveling in a carriage, being like, swords. We have dire wolves.
Otherwise, is this show very dark? Because I remember I watched. Weirdly, I wanted to see how this show ended, and I watched a little bit of the final season of Game of Thrones. And the first episode I watched was like the night fight, and I couldn't see a damn thing. I'm like, why am I watching this? And I turned it off angry.
I don't blame you. I actually enjoyed that episode overall, but it's dark as fuck. But
yeah, I couldn't see a damn thing.
No, and, so far this episode is this show. I mean, is super bright. Even the nighttime scenes, they got like 900 candles lit. You could see everything. Like, yeah.
Okay. Even when they went to Dragonstone and this, where it's kind of everything's kind of in fog and like a darker palette.
Everything's gray and black and stuff, but you can still see everything. Yeah,
you could still see everything. Like,
what I thought was cool was not in the show, but it was like a little video of a building in New York City, and it showed everyone watching Game of Thrones because all their windows were lighting up.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
fashion. Yeah. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah. It shows really you how popular the show is.
Floors on floors, just all having the same thing.
Shows all the time. You know what I'm saying? And this is gonna be like I said, man. It starts off strong. These first 2 episodes,
very strong.
Really,
at the height of Game of Thrones. I would say the peak of Game of Thrones, the dragons, the zombies, all that kind of stuff, all the magic side of it, the fantasy side of it, was 10% of the show. It was a very small portion of the show. The majority, the big draw was the political moves, the war, the strategies, like that kind of thing. And the way this show started, they're almost immediately, they're at that peak now. You could just feel it. They're already knee deep in everyone trying to backstab somebody for more power and figuring out ways to further their agenda. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you.
Honesty, hold on before you ask something. Like, in all honesty, because you never watched Game of Thrones, right? By the time you get, I'm not going to tell you what happens. I don't want to spoil it for you. But by the time you get to the Red Wedding, and everybody that's watched Game of Thrones knows what the Red Wedding is, you are so shocked by what you see because of all the political moves that have been made so far. And there's nothing like magical about it or anything like crazy that happens. It's just, it's so shocking to you as the viewer that you're just like, I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe it, you know? And
nothing comes out of nowhere. Like every twist makes sense in the context of the show.
Yeah. And then you get to a expertly shot battle scene, like Battle of the Bastards, which, like, it's just a battle. It's a battle on a battlefield, right? Like any other battle on a battlefield. But the way they film it so close in, it makes you feel like claustrophobic, like you're in the battle with them. Like, the show was really expertly done up until the last season.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's what I heard. The last season was garbage.
Yeah, the last season was garbage. But like you were talking about the night fight, right? Where you basically can't see anything. Like Battle of the Bastards was a darker tone. It was a darker shade overall, like film cinematically, right? But you could see everything, you could hear everything, you could feel everything. It was expertly well done. Expertly well done.
So my question was the way people the way you hear about Game of Thrones is kind of like to me from the outside is the same way I heard about Sons of Anarchy. So in your opinion, is Sons of Anarchy comparable as far as how big the show is, or is Game of Thrones ahead, or is Sons ahead? Like, what's the bigger show as far as the popularity goes?
Game of Thrones.
You think it was Game of Thrones? Because I feel like when Sons came out, and throughout all their seasons, it's the only thing that was be trending or talked about or whatever.
Right.
It was huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. But like I know way more people now that have never watched Sons of Anarchy.
Right.
And have never watched Game of Thrones.
Right. And just like speaking in my circle of like friends and all that stuff, I know people who aren't into fantasy who fell in love with Game of Thrones. Whereas people who weren't into like crime shows didn't give a shit about Sons of Anarchy. So it didn't win them over. They tried, but it didn't win them over. Whereas Game of Thrones, if you're into the fantasy side, you'll love it. If you're into like the political intrigue and all that stuff, you'll love it. If you're more into like survival kind of like, you know, thriller kind of shows, you'll love it. It's kind of fits a lot of different categories.
That's what frustrates me about this show, because I like all those things and I can't get into it. At least I couldn't when I tried many friggin' years ago.
But one of the things I hate.
Don't even watch the first 4 episodes.
Right.
Just start at episode 5 and just figure it out.
I bet maybe I'll just do that.
One of the things I always hate to say to people is like, you got to keep watching, get to a certain point, because it's like, you know,
I say that too about shows. I'm like, oh, you know,
I feel like the first. No, this is the same thing for Breaking Bad to me. If you've never seen it before, you got to get through the first 2 seasons before it starts to really freaking click. Because
not for Breaking Bad, not for me though.
It's just my opinion. But Breaking Bad, I thought was very slow. It was good, but there was nothing like special about it in the first 2 seasons. Like it had moments here and there that were good. It was well acted, but it wasn't like, you know, like the groundbreaking show it was. And to me, it wasn't until the season 3 where it really picked up the intensity and everything, and then it got like a must watch kind of show. For me, Game of Thrones is the same thing. Like I said before we went live, I watched the first 2 seasons and like, was it good? Sure, but it wasn't anything phenomenal. And then from season 3 on, it's just like.
So what made you keep watching it? Was it just the popularity of it, everyone wanting to talk about it?
I'm sure that's part of it, but it was also the quality, the acting quality is up there. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's a poorly acted show. The production value is way up there. The costumes, the environment, everything looks great. You know what I mean? Like it was a good show, but it wasn't like the thing that I had to drop everything and watch at 9 p.m. on Sunday. You know what I mean? The way like Sons of Anarchy, especially, you know, once I got into that show, it was like, don't talk to me. Sons of Anarchy's on. I'm not talking to you right now. Spartacus, same thing. It was like, I don't care what your plans are supposed to be. I'm going to be home watching Spartacus. And that's really it. You know what I mean? It just took that long for they to get me like that. Walking Dead, was another one.
Oh, Walking Dead,
Walking Dead, I was like that. Like, I have to watch Walking Dead this week. I can't wait to see what happens.
It was an event every time it was on.
It was like, after 5 seasons, I was like, all right, I'm done with Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You know, Butters is the only one still watching that.
But
he's the only one still keeping the Walking Dead torch alive. Wait, so Chris, what'd you think of this second episode though? Because you didn't tell us what you thought.
Well, so I feel like,
oh, my bad.
That's all right. Yeah. I was saying this to my coworker, who's a bigger fan of Game of Thrones than I even am, and you know, it's not sure she wants to watch the show. I told her that after 2 episodes, I'm already calling it like a must watch, especially if you're a fan of the first season. I think that it didn't just walk out of the gate strong. It's running full speed. Every storyline they set up so far, I'm interested. I'm interested in every single character. They haven't even given us like a main bad guy, quote unquote, for the show, because Game of Thrones generally is not about like one person is the bad guy. Everyone's got motivations that make sense, but they've hinted at that in episode 2, and I'm already kind of like, yeah, okay, I want to know more. You know what I mean? So, you know, the for me, the most fun moments of Game of Thrones was when you ended an episode thinking, all right, who's going to team up with who's going to backstab who, and trying to kind of guess. And
the line
like to what we basically kind of to what we said, and to Fred, what you said before, that didn't start really jumping into play until the middle of season 2-ish, where you started going, who's going to be on whose side here? This is 2 episodes in, and I'm already like questioning motivations. Everyone's well-rounded. So like a perfect example of why I like the way they do the characters in Game of Thrones in general is in House of the Dragon, you have the Hand of the King is like he's literally the right-hand man. If something happens to the king, the hand will take over until the heir is old enough to become king. And in the episode 1, he's basically played as a pretty straight shooter. He's like honest. He gives decent advice. He doesn't seem to be like a dick or over ego or anything like that. And then in episode 1, we're going to spoil it now because we just talked about it, and because episode 1 happened last week. The king's wife is about to give birth. Shit's happening with the birth, so the doctors basically say, look, we could save the baby and your wife's gonna die, or we could try to deliver this baby and both of them might die. And the king says, save the baby. In the process, though, his wife and the baby die anyway, so he just lost both of them. And all of a sudden, his right hand is talking to his daughter, who I think in the show is only like 14 or 15 or something. And he's like, he just kind of subtly says, oh, you might want to check in on the king, see if he's all right. He just went through some shit. And she's like, sure, that's what you want me to do. And then as she walks out, he's like, oh, you might want to put on your mother's dress. And right there, he went from being looked like a good dude to like, there's a shade of just darkness in him. You know what I mean? And every character has that. Every character has that. They seem like a certain type of way, but then there's that shade or that hint that maybe it's not all they seem right on the surface. And Game of Thrones did that so perfectly. And I love that after 2 episodes, every single character has that already. Even the main, I guess you would call him the bad guy, the brother who wants to be king. I love that. The way Matt Smith plays him, I believe that's the actor's name, Matt Smith. The way he plays him is like...
Doctor Who?
Yeah. The way he plays him is...
You don't even recognize him like the whole first episode. That's
he's fucking,
really?
and he's fantastic so far in 2 episodes. And the way he plays his character is like... He's the kind of character that always he's like on the verge of smiling, but you never know if it's like a friendly smile or like I'm about to stab you in the neck and you just don't even know it's coming kind of smile. You know what I mean? He plays it so well. And I'm just into it. I'm into every single thing they've shown us so far. To be
the
perfectly
little
honest.
girl, man, like the one that plays the little princess. Like she's
Rhaenyra, yeah,
phenomenal.
fantastic.
I don't know. We should probably learn her name, but
Yeah, her name's a little tough to say. I'll look it up. I'm gonna butcher it, but I'll look it up.
She like her and Matt Smith have this like standoff at the end of the episode, right? She flies in on her dragon. She jumps off the King's Guard is trying to stop her. She's like, "Get out of my way!" She goes right up to him, and she just lays it out there. She's like, so if you want to take over the king, I've already been named the heir, so you're going to have to kill me. So let's see it. What you got? And he gives her this smile. And I'm just like, is he going to kill her right now? This dude's about to stab this little girl in the face.
And I will say, that's another argument, too, to why I'm a big fan of shows where, the plot armor is not so thick. To me, it adds to the intensity of the show if you really don't know who's going to survive. And, Spartacus did that really well. Game of Thrones arguably did it phenomenal, did it the best of any other show until later seasons.
Sons was really good with that too.
Sons was really good. All the best shows, in my opinion, as far as anyone could die at any time. And there's very little
for the first few seasons was like that.
For the first 3 seasons.
Oh no, I'd say up until they killed Glenn, you never know who was going to be.
Up until they killed Glenn, they basically went 3 seasons where anyone could go, and then they protected every single friggin' person until Negan came. And the only reason I would argue the only reason they killed Glenn is because they knew in the comic book he killed Glenn, and if they didn't do that, people would be upset.
But one of the things about that they screwed up on is they started after they killed Glenn, all the legacy characters on that show
were untouchable.
They were like. They were like, this is going to be Carl's last episode. They announced it.
Oh yeah, it's true.
And this is going to be Rick's last season. He's not coming back after this.
Yeah. So
he's going to die. Then you're just waiting for the episode. At least when Glenn did it, if you read the comics, you kind of knew that Negan was going to kill him. But there was that little voice in your head where it was just like, yeah, they didn't play the governor like they did in the comics. Maybe they won't play Negan like they did in the comics. Maybe he still kills Glenn, but maybe not here. You know what I mean? You still have a mystery around it.
Yeah. I think
you're right. All the best shows do that. They don't.
Right. And I think Game of Thrones, up until the last 2 seasons, maybe did that better than almost every other show. They really you did not know who was going to die, and anybody could go, except for maybe a handful of people.
Yeah, I mean, arguably.
Hey. Hi, hey, join the chat.
Who's Hi, hey? And he's calling us all neckbeards. You say we all have neckbeards. I don't know who that is.
Isn't a neckbeard like the really long ones?
That's what I thought. Mine stops here. So
I will say though that even the last season of Game of Thrones, which we all agree was pretty much trash, but even in the last episode, you really didn't know who was going to die.
No, you didn't. But so that was a testament to how good the show was, because
like,
season 6, 7, and 8 didn't kill a lot of important people, But so anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is right now we're back to that feeling again, where episode to episode we're not gonna have people dying like crazy, but like towards the end of the season, like anyone's fair game. And just based off of the story that the book that the show is based off of, there are certain people that obviously I kind of know are gonna just survive, but there's a large list of people that are all fun to know, like fun characters that could go, and that to me makes it much more entertaining to watch.
I feel like the King's kind of got to die.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to ruin it for you. I'm not going to.
Yeah, I mean, and just so everybody knows, I haven't read any of the books. I could not care less about the books. Just based off of like plot and everything like that, and like kind of looking forward, the King kind of has to die to give us like the war that should be coming at some point.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole setup and the whole storyline is about a Targaryen civil war over who gets to be the next king. So, I mean,
while they're also being invaded by the Iron,
the free folk,
the free folk,
not free folk, but it's pirates basically.
Aren't they the same people that in Game of Thrones, the brother and the sister's like a badass pirate? Are they called the Iron something?
They're from that area, but it's not the same family. It's not the same
family.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was a little confused about that.
It's more of like a combo of families that kind of join, and you'll see. I don't want to go into spoilers because that might ruin it for some people. So
they showed someone who's going to obviously be a villain.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably one of my second little nitpick is that, again, like I said, Game of Thrones, there really wasn't a flat out bad guy, especially in the beginning. Towards the later seasons, it was obviously very specific who the bad guy was going to be, or the antagonist, I should say. But here, it almost seems like they're pushing too hard to just have a specific bad guy, and I don't know if I like that. I like it more where you kind of root for who you root for, and you see how it plays out. You know what I mean? But so that's my thoughts. I still think episode 1 I would give an 8 out of 10. Episode 2 I would stick with the 8 out of 10 rating. I think it's good. It's a good start for the show. Really phenomenal start for the show.
Jumped for me, so I'm gonna. Episode 1 was like a 7 out of 10 for me, maybe 7.5. It was because it was pretty slow at some points for me. And then this episode was like an 8.5 out of 10. Like the ending of it made it for me.
So here's the $1 million question, Fred.
Yeah.
Are you going to watch the show now? Or did we do nothing to sway you?
No, I may check out the prequel for sure.
Right, cool. You heard it here, folks. By next
week,
Fred's going to be caught up on all of Game of Thrones and the prequel show.
I highly doubt that.
I do too. That's a lot of TV.
Prequel, though. I'll catch up and be current on the prequel. I'll try at least.
All right. So now we can go into full spoilers for a different show because this show is just winning me over with every episode. Let's talk She-Hulk. From the MCU, from the DCEU to the MCU, let's talk She-Hulk. I mean, 2 episodes in.
I will say this is your favorite show.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite Marvel Disney Plus show.
Oh, okay. You know what? That's a little. That's a little.
That's much, a little strong.
Listen, I'm strong. Listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. 2 episodes in, I cannot wait every Thursday to watch this freaking show.
I am excited for, I know it's only 2 episodes in, but I am pumped for what comes next.
I don't remember having that feeling 2 episodes in to any other Disney Plus show. Maybe Hawkeye. I say Hawkeye, I was kind of there at the same point.
See, I was definitely there with Hawkeye.
I was there for Hawkeye. I was there with Loki. I was there with Moon Knight. I know you guys have your qualms about Moon Knight, but I was there with Moon Knight.
My thing about Loki was, overall, it's a great show. Like, one of the better ones that they had, right? But, by episode 2, I was kind of like, I can't wait to see where this show leads to. I wasn't
right.
Loki, I would have been happy waiting till it all came out and just binging the whole thing in one shot. This, I want to see every week, what's going to happen next.
Okay. I hear you. But let's go, Scythe. What did you think of this last episode?
I was a bit, despite all the craziness that we saw Easter egg wise, I was a bit disappointed. It felt like they blew their load on the first episode and then they pulled it back a little bit for the second.
So they slowed down for sure on the second one as far as the action and all that stuff. It was clearly more of the sitcom kind of feel. So I don't disagree with that, as far as that's concerned. But I feel like they really gave us a ton of Easter eggs this episode, just a ton of little breadcrumbs for what's coming.
Maybe not for this season, but I wasn't like when I turned off the first episode, I was like, wow, that was incredible what I just watched, and I did not get that feeling with episode 2. I kind of like fell back, like it kind of like humbled me a little bit, like, all right, let me not be too high on the show yet and let it kind of play out.
Let me ask you guys this question. The CG in episode 2, was it not worse than episode 1?
The CG's been terrible for her throughout this whole thing.
Like I kind of, it didn't bother me. Like episode 1, it didn't bother me. I thought it looked pretty good. It definitely looked better than the trailer. I didn't.
Her jumping bothered me in episode 1.
Yeah, like, it was a little floaty.
Fighting Hulk and jumping. Yeah. It was like watching Mr. Fantastic jump or something. Like
it was definitely yeah, it was definitely a little PlayStation 1 era video game cinematic. But I thought episode 2, I just like it was cartoony, it was bright. I don't know if it was because she was surrounded by humans the whole time, so whenever she was in her Hulk form, there was nothing to like soften the blow, I guess.
They're having a little problem, it looks like, with like the ratio of her size compared to other humans.
Yeah,
like
and that's tough to do.
Bruce, that's very tough to do, because when she's standing next to Bruce, the other CGI giant green thing, it looks
fine,
pretty good, right? And then when she's standing next to her boss, like drunk at the bar, and she has to shrink down, it's kind of like, this looks really awkward right now.
Yeah. I did like how they actually made her extremely drunk when she came down.
Right, the moment she switched.
He's like, I want to talk to Jane and not you for a second, and then she got hammered.
Immediately. Like that was a little like, I was like, what? Like,
Johnny Butters says that she looked like a fine version of Fiona from Shrek. That's not inaccurate.
Shrekish.
Especially in episode 2, I just thought that it was very cartoonish next to the humans, and I understand that's going to be, I guess, a problem going forward. But when you look at the Hulk next to the humans, it's not nearly as bad. I think they got the lighting down maybe for him better, and going back
just
to the gold standard,
the detail of the Hulk is just better. Like you see every ripple of his muscle, like you see everything, and it's in so high quality detail,
and it looks like skin, like it looks real.
And for her, it was just like, we'll just throw some green on it,
and I get it's a TV budget. You know what I mean? Like when you can't compare her to like Thanos, because the budget they had for Endgame was
but the TV budget had the Hulk in it. Like there's your.
They already have those files saved. It's just literally like bringing it over from.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, right? They have years of the Hulk.
Yeah.
And they had the Hulk built in the Infinity War budget, so
that's kind of my problem. Like they know what they should do with it because they have all this data on the Hulk.
I don't disagree.
Money to get there, though.
Yeah,
dude. They had to build her from the ground up. Like they can't just put Bruce's body with long hair and be like, "That's She-Hulk, guys."
I don't really disagree. I hear what you're saying. There's just something about her look that I kind of hope they can still improve upon just a little bit. It doesn't ruin the show for me.
Doesn't bother me nearly as much as it does you guys, I think.
It just stands out. It's not that it bothers me.
Does.
It's not that it bothers me. I'm okay with it, but it stands out.
It stands out for me, but it doesn't take me away from enjoying the show.
Even my wife was like, "Does she always look like that?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Like that green?" And I was like, "Yeah, so far." It's like
definitely going for a brighter look to her skin tone as far as like the green is concerned.
Right.
But she was like that in the comics also. Like she was always a much brighter green than Bruce was.
But she like my problem is she doesn't look as muscular as she probably should be.
But now, so I don't know her in the comics. So
she's wearing like a ripped up white shirt, and you just see like her muscles like going out. It's like, all right, this is She-Hulk. She's a beast. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like she's just a little taller and green. Like that's all I'm getting out of it.
I do think, besides the fact that Fred and I are not the biggest fans of the way she looks, bringing Abomination in on episode 2, the way they kind of almost retcon him a little bit, where he thought he was like the hero and he was kind of played by the government a little bit.
I like that.
It's a great twist.
A lot. Like that's how the movie played out, though.
Yeah.
Well, not retcon it, but they kind of let him explain his side of it, and you're like, oh, you know what? It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he really was like played by the
made
government.
you care about the abomination. Like, let's be honest.
It did make you care about
the abomination.
Can I love?
Just like,
as soon as he explained it, I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't even think of that."
Can I just say though, my favorite little detail was that he actually apologized to Bruce Banner on his own, like off camera, years ago, in a letter, and he wrote him a haiku. Yeah. Like when Bruce said that, and he was like, "Yeah, he apologized. We're friends now." I'm kind of like, "What?" Like, you kidding me?
I was a different person then, anyway.
Honestly,
and the fourth wall break at that point.
That might be the joke of the MCU phase 5. I guess we're in now, right, Carmine? Yeah. You know the phases better than we do. That's the best joke they wrote though so far.
Not to be not to be confused with Saga.
Yeah, with Saga. What'd you say?
That was better than every joke in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Just him going like, I'm a totally different guy now. Literally.
Max.
I just wish.
Just looks at the camera and she's like, huh?
I wish Bruce looked at the camera at that moment. I wish he said literally and then just looked right at the camera like, that would have been best. But it's still a great joke.
Iron Man 2 effect, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's that whole thing where Rhodey shows up at the courthouse. They have this big dramatic pan up, and it's Don Cheadle instead of
and he goes, "Look, it's me. I'm here. Deal with it." And they just walk away.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, that's how they dealt with that. Like everybody's just like, "All right, Don Cheadle's on War Machine now. Let's just deal with it, people."
Right. So I loved it. The whole setup. Now, so I did see that that little clip at the very end where there's the newsreel of Abomination fighting Wong in the Underground tournament. So that confirms, I guess, that this show takes place during Shang-Chi.
Or at least shortly after.
Maybe shortly after. But my question there is why at the end of Shang-Chi is Bruce Banner talking to Wong as human Bruce Banner with his arm in a sling still when his arm is fully healed?
This show could, because the footage wasn't live.
Right.
Could have been, this show takes place, I think, after Shang-Chi. Well, after Shang-Chi, because I think the footage just came out.
Oh, it could have just been like a leaked footage, from
I didn't think of that actually. Yeah, so it didn't say that footage was right away.
The fighting ring got destroyed by the 10 rings.
The 10 rings, yeah.
It's not like it was still going on, and Jimmy Wong is over there. He's the second in command to the sister. The 10 rings thing, right?
Jimmy Wong is
Shang-Chi. The guy that's like bus boy.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Isn't that guy's name Jimmy Wong?
I thought you were talking about the cop from WandaVision and Ant-Man 2.
No, that's
no, that's fucked up.
Jimmy
that's
something.
That's racist that I even thought that because they're both Asian, they have to be the same guy. That's fucked
now
up.
It is because they mentioned it.
I take it back.
But that was John Krasinski, right?
Yeah, John Krasinski. There you go. That was John Krasinski from Ant-Man 2. So all right, so I guess that makes sense then. So then this show then maybe takes place right after Shang-Chi, which would explain why Bruce was still in the sling in human form.
Yeah, and Wong was breaking him out of prison every time he wanted to fight him in the ring. That's basically what he was doing.
So I wonder then if the next episode she's going to go to the prison to see what happened and Abomination's actually going to be there and be like, "What are you talking about? I didn't escape." And then she's going to show him the video and he's going to be like, "Oh shit." And that's probably what brings Wong to meet her. Because, all right, it's coming together then. I should have thought about it a little bit harder.
I think we're going to get Wong next episode.
That makes sense.
So, at least. It would make the most sense to bring him in next because she's obviously going to be like, why did you break this guy out of fucking prison? What are you thinking? And he's like, I need money for tuna sandwiches.
Yeah.
I don't get paid as the Sorcerer Supreme, lady.
He's like, you realize that the Sanctum Sanctorum is not a business. I don't make any money. I'm fucking sitting here conjuring up food, damn it.
I will say this, like Tatiana Maslany?
Yeah.
I think she's really, really good in this show.
I agree.
I think the dynamic that she has between her and her paralegal, I know her last name's Gonzaga. I don't remember her first name. But she, they have like a great dynamic between each other. Like even when they're in the bar and she's like, you're going to be in Avengers now. And she's like, do Avengers even have health benefits?
Yeah.
Like I need like money here. Like, she's like, well, I'm not an adult orphan. Like another amazing line that she delivered.
Yeah. She's great. I mean, it's only 2 episodes in, so it's hard to rank her as far as like the new characters that have been introduced, but after 2 episodes, I'm leaning towards she might be the best new character besides Shang-Chi that's been brought into the MCU since the Infinity Saga was over. I mean, like her. I just like her whole vibe. I like her humor. I like her style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, she's really, really good. She's playing it really well. And this episode, like, the thing about these episodes that I'm realizing is they're super short.
Yeah. Every time I'm like really getting into it, it ends, and I'm like, damn it.
I'm like, damn it. But I think that might be the right timing for this show.
Well, Scythe, you said in your podcast you were talking about the pacing issues of the Disney Plus shows in the MCU, and I mean, you're not wrong. Every single MCU show has had pacing issues for sure.
Everything just feels rushed,
and I'm curious,
especially in this show.
Well, it does feel rushed, but this show is 9 episodes, so I'm curious to know if shorter episodes, but 9 of them, is better than slightly longer 6 episodes. I don't know. You know, we have a good amount of episodes left still. You know what I mean? So who knows if that's going to just make it feel even like longer and boring, or if that's going to actually keep the momentum going.
But I think this show's paced right. Like it hasn't felt like, I think we're upset that it's so short, but that's because it's so good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we just want more of it.
My biggest issue with her is she mastered the Beast way quicker than Bruce did, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, but because you got to think of it though, it's not a beast. Like, this isn't. Picture her version of the Hulk as just her superpower. There's no mastering it because it's just who she is. Whereas with him, it's an alter ego. It's a whole different creature, and he doesn't have to master it. He's got to live with it.
But is it confirmed that she doesn't have the alter ego?
In the comics, it is. I mean, I think in the show they basically confirmed it, but I don't know if they're going to flat out say it. You know, it's kind of like they deduced it.
They did, because Bruce at one point is like, "Wait, you don't have another guy? Like, you don't have another hand on the wheel? Like, you're in full control right now? Like." Because Bruce has DID, like, he has dissociated identity disorder, like, that's been confirmed.
You sounded so drunk when you said that.
I mumbled all the way through that the entire way.
Wait, hold on. Let me get a drink. My bad.
So
that's a serious thing. I fucked off and got wasted.
Yeah, you're right though.
I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna go deep into it.
Like she was just like all into her powers and how she could be the Hulk way quicker and better.
I think keep in mind that she only has mastered essentially changing from Jen Walters to She-Hulk back and forth. We don't know that she
was like the biggest part, because
for him, yes. For him,
it, you know, like he would say in his own words, he had to he would turn back when he like fell out of space or out of the sky or airplane or something.
That's because the Hulk was in control.
Yeah,
like, she's in control at all times.
Right. It almost seems like
somebody else in control of it. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say it almost seems like in the MCU, Bruce Banner still doesn't get that when he turned to the Hulk, it wasn't like him trying to turn back to human. It was when the Hulk was okay with it. Essentially, the Hulk had to just allow it to happen. And
Hulk either got knocked out, or whatever happened, like Natasha with the lullaby and everything like that. Like, the Hulk was okay with letting Bruce have it back.
And I still think that we're gonna get Rage Hulk again in the MCU. We're not done with that. We're not done with that.
If we get all the way to World War Hulk, and he's like, "I'm smart Hulk," I'm gonna be like, "No, we gotta."
Well, something is gonna piss him off. And
there's a quick scene in episode 1 of She-Hulk right after the accident, the car accident, when he's trying to warn her, "Get away, my blood, get away," and his face starts to change. If you watch that scene, he's not changing into Smart Hulk. No. He's changing into crazy Rage Hulk there.
Smart Hulk is only when he can control it, and that was him in an accident, and that was the other guy going.
That was the other guy
trying to save him.
And then in this episode, we get him flying to Sakaar now, the Sakarian ship. I mean, it's all but confirmed. World War Hulk is on its way, and I'm so fucking here for it, man. I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. There's a wild theory that this Hulk. Our Hulk that we know him is going to fight Edward Norton's Hulk,
like an alternate
Hulk,
like a variant Hulk, and it's going to be Edward Norton.
Variant Hulk, and it's going to be Edward Norton that plays it.
As long as our Hulk though beats him, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm worried about a World War Hulk now, only because, like, I feel like they're not gonna give us the Savage Hulk.
I'm
get
telling
him,
you, we
man.
are. Yeah, I 100%
I think we're gonna get him.
I don't know, man.
Smart Hulk is not his final form, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have. I've talked about it plenty of times that they had the perfect opportunity to give us the Savage Hulk.
Yeah, but trust in the Feige, man. Trust in the he knows what he's doing, and there's no way he's gonna try and give us Smart Hulk as someone who's gonna turn on his friends and all that stuff and fucking go to war. He just wouldn't do that. You need the Rage Hulk that's just controlled by anger. You know what I mean?
I don't think they're going to do the World War Hulk storyline of him turning on everybody else and go to war either.
It's not going to go like that. I mean, he's not going to come to Earth and basically say, I'm fucking everybody up, but he is going to fight. It's going to be like a new Civil War, you know what I mean? Where heroes fight heroes, and we're going to see him go at it with people that we care for. You know what I mean? 100%. 100%
I don't
get that.
No, I don't think they're going to do that. I think he's just going to be fighting the population of, like, Sakaar.
Well,
they're going to do World War Hulk
hope
on
not.
Sakaar.
I hope that's not the case. I mean, now you make me feel all worried about it, but I hope that's not the
This
case.
is why I'm worried about it, because, like, these are the things that I'm thinking of, because with everything else that we know is coming, it makes no sense for them to bring the Hulk back to Earth to have World War Hulk on Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe they do it on Sakaar. But, that doesn't mean that they won't bring heroes to Sakaar or to another planet that they have the World of War Hulk movie on or show or whatever they end up doing.
And that's true. I mean, we just don't know who they're going to be.
We'll find out, though. Listen, in the end, just the fact that we're going to be getting a World War Hulk, and I'm convinced we are, is excellent.
I legit jumped out of my seat when he was
on the plane, on the ship.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, it's coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same here.
Go.
I got so amped, dude. So amped.
Yeah.
And then 2 other Easter eggs that amped me up. One was they finally referenced Eternals, which I actually liked the Eternals movie. But the fact that there was
the guy in the ocean.
Why is there a human or not a human, a statue? That's what it is.
Yeah.
Coming out of the ocean. That's just a quick shot when she's looking at her phone, you have to, or the computer, you have to kind of pause it real quick. But that's just finally they mention it, which is something they haven't done, which was weird, always weird to me. And then the confirmation that, it's basic confirmation that Wolverine a version of Wolverine exists in the MCU. A guy with metal claws fighting in a cage in a bar.
Dude, I so was hoping, like, after the fact, obviously from watching it, but can you imagine if, like, it really panned in on that header, that article header, and then you hear like they did in Miss Marvel?
I wouldn't be surprised.
It would have been so amazing.
It would have been fantastic.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, they kind of left it on the outskirts, right? But that's legit confirmation that if it's obviously not Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, it's just a version of Wolverine. You know what I mean?
Or
Deadpool, maybe.
It's Feige messing with us
Nah,
yet again.
I don't think
You
so.
know what I'm saying?
All these breadcrumbs are leading to something.
Yeah, they're gonna keep sprinkling in little things of mutants and
I hope so.
until we get it.
So, but I never trust Marvel because they're too good at, like, being like, look over here. This is what you want. Never mind.
Yeah,
this is what we're gonna give you.
They're legit magicians.
You're gonna like it anyway.
Kevin Feige's a goddamn magician. He
You're not
does
wrong.
sleight of hand on everything he does.
You're gonna find out that the guy fighting with metal claws in, like, in a bar somewhere is some obscure character from the 70s, like Claw Hand or something like that, instead of it being Wolverine. And then you're gonna find out Wolverine shows up anyway. Like,
well,
you know,
wasn't there a mutant that had metal fingernails? Like it came out the
Lady
fingernails?
Deathstroke.
Yes,
or
Deathstroke.
Deathstrike. Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah. That's right.
I guess it could have been her.
Wolverine. It's tied to Wolverine also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she died because he injected her with lead.
And this would also
movie,
yeah.
If this is Wolverine, as we all think it is, it confirms that he already went through the Weapon X project and got the metal.
But honestly, though, if they go like a Wolverine movie or just fully introduce the character at some point, again, Feige, he's not going to tell the origin of Wolverine because everyone knows that. So, it makes sense that they would introduce a version that already went through Weapon X, and they kind of just move on from there and just don't even bother.
I think the opposite, though, with Wolverine, because I don't think they're going to do the Weapon X program. I think they're going to highlight the Weapon Plus program which is what later got retconned in the comics as the Weapon X program, right?
That's true. That's true. I could see them doing that just to kind of separate themselves.
It'll separate themselves, but it'll also lead into all the stuff that's happening in like Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier, with the super soldier serum and like the stuff with Red Guardian. Like it'll lead us to a more
and the Hulk
opens up more
doors. Don't forget the super soldier serum is the reason why the Hulk in the MCU exists.
Right.
And Red Hulk
and
Abomination, right?
And Abomination. So it'll lead us into more of that.
I got a question for you guys program when you're done.
Then the Weapon X program.
And then that makes sense then why Wolverine would get the Easter egg in She-Hulk, because it all kind of falls into the same category.
It all kind of fall in the same area and everything like that. Plus, like they've already kind of like leaked a couple things about the way they're going to introduce Wolverine is he's going to fight the Hulk.
Right. I've heard that too.
So maybe he comes back to Earth, World War Hulk style, and Wolverine, he lands in Canada, and Wolverine's like, us in Alpha Flight, baby, let's go.
And then he picks Wolverine up like a baseball and just throws him into the atmosphere.
Pretty much.
What's up, Side?
Now, before I ask my question, is Hulk going? He's on the ship. Is he being summoned for throwing a boulder into space and hitting something?
That would be great if like his boulder like just dinged off the ship and they were like, "Yo, what the fuck, man? Now you got to pay for the damages."
No, but so my question is, the Wolverine that we're gonna get, right? Can it really be the Wolverine that never dies? That's been around since World War I, II, whatever, like. Because that would say then Captain America might know Wolverine. You know what I mean?
Well,
I think that would be a good way.
In the comics, they retconned that he did know him.
That's a good question. I don't know what I'd prefer.
Yeah, so is this going to just be a completely different Wolverine where, he's the age of whatever he is and that's like kind of his starting point? Or has he been around for a long time?
See, I think they're going to have it be like where the mutant gene was essentially activated sometime after the Infinity Saga, during WandaVision, during Doctor Strange, whatever it is.
Yeah, people are saying the snap. The snap.
Yeah, like multiple snaps triggered it or something like that. Like,
a long time, yeah.
And so having said
that's only 5 years. So in that 5 years, he had the Weapon X or Weapon Plus, whatever you want to call it.
Why not? Maybe he's like a young soldier, you know what I mean? And he wanted strength or, needed to fight for his country or whatever it is. Maybe he was a prisoner that needed to shorten his sentence. So they basically said, look, we'll do this program on you. And if it works, it works. But I mean, if they do give us the Wolverine that's been around for a while, then they could easily just say, instead of Captain America being his friend and like tying in that way, you could bring Bucky into it. Kind of tie him into what happened there, but my point is Bucky's been around just as long as Captain America. You know what I mean? He was there back in the 70s too, or back in the 40s too.
He's been around since World War II. They can kind of meld both those ideas where it's like, he's around since the snap, but he was in Afghanistan with Sam. Right.
You could do that. Yeah. That would be that would be an easy way to do it. So he still has the relationship with Captain America, but it's Sam Wilson Captain America, and then it only started after the snap. I mean, I think it makes sense to say that all those snaps had some sort of repercussions. That's such powerful energy that it's reverberating through the universe.
It was 3 or 4 different snaps that he did?
At least, right? It was the first one he did. Then 5 years later, he did a second one.
Yeah.
Then
I
was...
Well, Thanos did 2, and then Bruce did 1.
And then Tony
did 1. So we had 4.
So that's 4. So that's 4 major snaps. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's huge. That's huge.
3 of them on Earth.
Right.
It's 3 of them on Earth.
Yeah, because Thanos did 1 on Titan.
On that planet, yeah.
On that planet. It wasn't Titan. The Garden was. Yeah.
His retirement home.
Yeah.
Thanos has a retirement plan. That's cute.
The Avengers don't, but Thanos does.
Yeah. So like that makes sense. That amount of energy, like literally affecting the entire universe multiple times. It would make sense that it doesn't.
Like that's where they were heading with it. Like it made sense right after Endgame when Rocket says the line of like, it's a energy that the universe has never seen before, and this, that, and the other thing. And it would make the most sense. And then when you tie it into Wanda, that she with the WandaVision stuff where they were talking about, she had the power in her all all the time,
Right,
the
and it just kind of
Infinity Stone
activated it. Like,
unlocked it, then it makes sense that
Yeah.
6 Infinity Stones being snapped
right,
would activate a lot of people's latent superpowers.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, but
The cop
that goes
out
off the rails
version
with Miss
though.
Marvel,
Yeah.
It
The
kinda
cop
goes off
out
the
that
rails
they
with
could
Miss Marvel.
do is that Wolverine came in on some multiversal weirdness.
Yeah,
And he
that's
was just a random guy in the bar that had metal claws.
my
and
only
that's the
problem.
article.
My only problem with that is that I feel like if you fall into the habit of just being like, oh well, the multiverse is the reason,
Yeah.
then it's like it takes away from like the creativity a little bit. It's the same thing with like time travel. Like if you fall on that too much, then it's just like, all right, nothing matters because you just time travel and fix it. So I'd
He's
rather
also
them
too
get a
big
little
of a
more creative
character.
with it.
Like he's too big of a character for them to do that with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, Wolverine arguably has next to Spider-Man is Marvel's like
flagship.
linchpin of all their comics for years next to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he really is that popular of a character. So for them to just be like he's from another multiverse, like it'll fail miserably if they try that. So instead, I mean, listen, I think there's an idea where it could just be like he was one of the rare because like we know we're getting Namor, right?
Mhm.
We're
Right.
assuming that Namor's an adult now. He's the first mutant, and
But now, so does Namor? Sorry to interrupt, but like he's technically the first mutant, right? He's recognized as the first mutant in the comics.
technically,
If we're going by the theory that multiple
The
snaps
snap.
only
Yeah.
like 5 years or so ago caused
That
the
kills
mutations,
that kills that. first
Namor is not
mutant
around
thing.
for just 5 years. He's had to have been around for longer than that.
that's where I was heading.
Sorry,
with this.
I jumped the gun. Good.
Yeah. You're like, let me get to the end here, bud.
My bad. My bad.
Like we know he's an adult now, so that would kind of throw that theory off. But maybe there's some mutants that are so powerful that they get their powers get unlocked in other ways.
Like Apocalypse.
Like Apocalypse, like I mean, Wolverine's immortal basically, so you could throw him into that level.
Yeah.
Also, So I mean, there's a couple different ways they could say that. Well, because like even Miss Marvel, like technically her powers got unlocked from the bracelet,
Right.
but she had the mutant gene in her. So maybe it's not the snap, but maybe it's other ways that these powers are getting unlocked. Photon, we got her, and she got her powers from Wanda's
Right.
hex thing,
Right.
So I think we're just going to be seeing maybe the
Different
snap
triggers.
did it for some. Maybe the snap did it for some, but maybe other people just have different triggers or different reasons why they happen, and who knows. Maybe Wolverine was given the super soldier serum in World War II, and he did know Cap.
Right.
They could go back that route too.
Right.
That's a possibility also.
Maybe they retcon him completely and say that he was experimented on just like Bucky, but he was still frozen all these years and he just got de-thawed because of the celestial fucking up the atmosphere.
That's possible also. There's a lot of different ways they can go about doing this. Like, look, they have to figure out a way to bring all the X-Men in, but not all at once because it's going to be too much, right?
Right.
So we've talked about it before, where like their original idea was to bring in single X-Men through different Marvel properties.
Like
that doesn't
Storm with Wakanda.
Right.
Plan before Boseman died was to bring Aurora Monroe into Wakanda and her to be with Black Panther and that whole spiel, and then like get her powers or whatever happens, and they wind up getting married.
But do you think we still see her in Wakanda? I feel like we would.
I think we can. I don't like
think we will.
nothing that's happened needs to change that, But it's very clear that we're going to end up getting X-Men.
The love angle's gone, so I don't think we're going to see her in Wakanda for as long as we would have.
Maybe. Yeah, you're right.
Debut in Wakanda. I don't think she's going to debut in Wakanda forever. I think it'll be whatever Black Panther 3 winds up being. That's probably what
I think.
But they can woke it and make her like the new Black Panther, aka Shuri.
Shuri?
Give her the relationship there. I mean, they could do that.
They could.
It wouldn't be the worst thing ever to do.
I still feel like it's very clear that we're getting mutants in various Marvel properties, and we're not going to get an official X-Men name or title or like that title drop. Like that'll basically be the new Avengers Assemble. You know what I mean? Where it's like We don't hear them refer to themselves as X-Men. We don't hear the X-Men being announced, anything like that, for 10 years. And then when it finally happens, it'll be a moment that we've been waiting for. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where they're going with that. You know,
I agree with that.
But this episode of She-Hulk was basically just one more hint towards all of that, which is just, phenomenal. It's like think about the time we live in. I feel like every saga, quote unquote saga or phase, I keep thinking to myself, like, how good is it to be a nerd and a comic book fan and all that stuff right now with the things we're getting? And then as we get more and more shit, I'm just like, man, like, where does it end? What else can we get?
So here's what I'm thinking. I have a feeling that we're gonna see Daredevil. I know it's confirmed we're gonna see Daredevil,
right,
but the reason we see Daredevil, specifically Matt Murdock, is her client is going to be Kingpin.
Now, do you think Kingpin, or do you think her client's going to be John Bernthal's Punisher?
I don't think it's going to be Punisher. I feel like it's going to be Kingpin.
I kind of agree with you, but I'm just curious. They could throw Kingpin in there. They could throw Luke Cage in there, because if we remember, Luke Cage was the crime lord of Harlem at the end of the second season, so he's tied to a lot of criminal activity right now.
I think it's going to be Jessica Jones.
It could be Jessica Jones too, because she's an asshole and does shit under the book of the law.
That'd be great, but she's apparently busy with other projects. Hopefully,
I've heard that
she
too,
does come.
Heard the cast.
I heard they couldn't because she was busy.
Heard the only two that are coming back from the original Defenders are Kristen Ritter and John Barenthal.
I don't know if any of that's been officially confirmed.
Yeah, I would love Luke Cage to come back, because I thought he was great too.
I thought he was great, and again, the way his last season ended, I was so amped for that last season.
Who's that? Michael Coulter, whatever his name.
Yeah.
I think he's got that show though, Evil.
Yeah, no, he's on a successful show right now.
Yeah,
and so is she.
Kristen Ritter, that's her name, right?
Yeah.
She just signed on to a show, which is why I thought she was not available.
Don't forget though, too, we're talking about Marvel, right? So if they want her,
they can make it work.
If they want her to headline a show, then they'll just send her equipment to her hotel room.
Baby, let's go.
No, but they'll send her the equipment and say, here, film your scenes against a flat white wall in your hotel room, and we're just gonna put you in the show anyway, and you'll be the headline. You'll be the main character of the show, and they'll do it, and it'll look fine.
They'll figure it out.
Let's not forget they had Brie Larson film, I think, her end credit scene with other Avengers, and she was just in a room with green stuff around her.
Yeah,
like she didn't even know who she was talking to. Like,
She did on the set of Endgame.
And forget even that. If you watch the Army of the Dead, I think it was, or whatever, on Netflix, they replaced an entire character with someone who never met the cast, been on a set or anything like that. Yeah. And if they didn't announce that, you would have had no idea. Like, they could figure it out. It's Marvel. They got Marvel money. They got Disney money. Like, and like you said, Scythe, if Marvel was like, yeah, it sounds like a cool show you're on, but we're Marvel, so that show would be like, okay, we'll delay our show for a decade so you can just do whatever you want.
Here's a stack of money. Yeah, you're doing our show.
Yeah, now that's where I think they're gonna pull like the cop out multiverse angle with the with Luke Cage and Iron Fist. If it's true that Ritter and Barenthal are the only two that are coming back, they're gonna be like, no, those were that universe's.
Right. They didn't make the jump.
They didn't make or not even that. It's just like Matt Murdock in that universe and Matt Murdock in this universe are the same guy.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Jones are the same person, but Iron Fist and Luke Cage aren't.
Yeah.
No.
Which is a shame, because Luke Cage deserves to be there. In my opinion.
I agree with that 100%.
And don't sleep on Iron Fist season 2, man. Season 2 was good. Season 1 was horrible dog shit, but season 2 was decent.
Fan of it, but I do like the character.
How to hide his face and put somebody that actually knows kung fu into the goddamn show. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole problem with the first seasons, they tried to get this dude to do martial arts, and he's like a classically trained English actor who's like never done any martial art.
Instead, they had him ballet dancing as a fight scene.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
To go back to it, I do think she's gonna have to represent Kingpin. Kingpin's gonna hire this firm.
I agree. I think that makes sense, just because they already introduced Kingpin in Hawkeye. So,
and Matt Murdock's gonna have to fight it.
Kingpin has superpowers.
He definitely does. In Hawkeye, he was punching people across the room.
In Hawkeye,
Yeah.
and I'm sure
like,
he got
even in the
arrested.
comics, he doesn't really have superpowers.
Yeah, but I think he's considered, even forget the superpowers, I think he's considered a super villain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, of course he's considered.
So I think in that respect, they'll definitely have, her division go toe to toe with him, Now, here's the kicker, though. At the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man is no longer like the Spider-Man that like he's just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man now, right? What if she's defending Kingpin, or she's prosecuting him, or whatever the case may be, because of a run-in that Kingpin had with Spider-Man? That would be killer.
It'd be cool.
Like Spider-Man got him arrested or something like that.
They would
Why
have
not,
to
though?
explain it.
We both know that Sony's not letting Spider-Man go into She-Hulk.
They need to.
What's up, Pam?
Hi, Pam. Thanks for jumping in. We're actually going to wrap up in a few minutes, but I appreciate you jumping in. This is one of our longer episodes, so feel free to watch and let me know what you think. I don't know if we have much else to say. We went through all the Easter eggs. Did we miss an Easter egg in She-Hulk?
I don't think so.
I think we got them all. This was a heavy Easter egg episode, and I feel like part of the reason why the show is 9 episodes total is because they're going to give us a ton of Easter eggs along with all the cameos that we don't even know about yet.
Yeah.
I think towards the end too, the episodes are going to get longer. Also,
I could see that, depending on what they're
hope
going
so.
for. Yeah, I could see that.
I honestly
not an Easter egg. What? Go ahead.
I think that they've been paying attention. Everybody being like, your pacing is fucking all over the place with these shows.
Yeah.
And I think this originally was supposed to be a shorter season, like maybe 6 episodes. And they're like, you know what? Let's cut up a couple episodes into shorter episodes and fix the pacing a little bit on all this.
Hopefully. I'm okay with the shorter episodes if it keeps the overall feel of the show moving along, and if we end like you said, if we end every episode excited for what's coming, then I'm okay with the shorter episodes.
It was a 26-minute episode. We've been talking about it for 45 minutes now.
Right.
I know.
Right.
I know. but to be fair, we're talking about other things that were branched off of this episode, like Wolverine and World War Hulk. But it's still, not so much of what's to come in She-Hulk itself. No, I get it.
This episode of the podcast was all about the rants. DCEU rant.
Random tangents.
Remember, people, you heard it here. Michael Keaton is the reason why DC's all over the place. So, just collapsing under the weight. He
started it and destroyed it.
The Keaton curse.
The Keaton curse. That's what we should name this episode. Theater Room Podcast, The Keaton Curse.
The Keaton curse.
Yeah.
Fred,
all right.
You're gonna ask something though.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Fred.
I
think we cut you off. Did I cut you off? My bad.
My fault.
I forgot what it was. No, it's all good.
Hey, that's our first train wreck moment of the night. That's pretty good. An hour and 42 minutes in. That's pretty good. Yeah. All right, boys. We're gonna call it a night there. This was an excellent episode. I like having these discussions with you guys, and thanks to everyone who jumped in. Pam, I know it was late, but hopefully you jump in next week too. We're going to be talking about She-Hulk episode 3. We're going to talk about House of the Dragon episode 3. And then I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of announcements and stuff that come out between this week and next week. So keep an eye out for us next Tuesday.
Lord of the Rings show drop.
Sunday. December. Wait,
dude,
is it
I
Sunday?
cannot wait for that.
December 2nd, I believe.
On Sunday? Rick and Morty comes out on Sunday.
Rick and Morty comes out on Sunday. Oh, real quick, I got to throw this out there. So Rick and Morty starts on Sunday, season 6, I think it is. The Lord of the Rings, the Ring of Power show starts September 2nd, which I believe is Sunday also. I might be wrong. No, maybe that's Friday, actually. Today's the 30th, right? So the 2nd is Friday. Yeah, so that's Friday, actually.
The 2nd is Friday.
If you haven't yet, on Apple TV, C with Jason Momoa is out. Episode 1 was last Friday. That comes out every Friday. If you like Mike Tyson or are interested at all in his life, the show Mike, or I Am Mike, I think it is on Hulu. 2 episodes have already been released for that show, and it's pretty good.
Boycotting that show.
I love that show, actually. I watched the first 2 episodes. It was actually very good.
I'm going to tell you right now, it was not approved by Mike Tyson. And there's a Tyson movie coming out with Jamie Foxx that was approved by Mike Tyson.
I'll watch that too. I just like Mike Tyson. And honestly,
awesome.
The guy who plays Mike Tyson in the show does the best Mike Tyson imitation I've ever seen. Like, he sounds, looks, and moves just like him.
I won't boycott it. Maybe I'll watch it.
It's fucking crazy. Like literally, if you close your eyes, you think it's Mike Tyson who's in the show. It's nuts. what else am I missing? Welcome to Wrexham is a show where Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhaney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia bought a soccer team, and it's friggin' amazing. It's a documentary about their process, but it's so good that if you watch, it'll make you appreciate Ted Lasso for how accurate that show is with its like depiction of the soccer kind of lifestyle in Europe. What else is coming out? There's Cobra Kai is next week. That's not that far away, dude. That's the 9th.
Next Friday.
Next Friday. Cobra Kai is next Friday, and I will be finishing that by... It comes out September 9th. September 10th, it'll be done. I'll be watching the entire thing.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
There's no stopping me from watching that whole season.
Dude, I cannot wait for that. So that's coming out. I think... Is Peaky Blinders already done? I think that's done. There's a whole bunch of shit, man. There's a whole bunch of shit.
Else coming.
I feel like I'm missing something. I'm missing a show that I was excited for. I can't think of it. But anyway, that's a good list of stuff to watch. And we're going to be talking about all that stuff here on the Theater Room Podcast.
We're going to have a long episode.
Yeah, we got lots of...
Ring of Power. House of
the Dragon. She-Hulk episode 3.
Oh my god, dude!
And all the early reviews for Ring of Power are saying that it's excellent for a Lord of the Rings show, which I was not expecting, to be perfectly honest. But
is there a bunch of people walking through a volcano?
Apparently not. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll see next week when we talk about it. So
Pam, facts. Thanks for coming.
And we'll see you guys.
We love you too, buddy.
Yeah, Johnny Butters always. He's a mainstay in the chat. So we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Like and subscribe. Join Facebook. Keep an eye out for YouTube. And I'll see you guys next time, man. Thank you guys for killing some time with me. And this was a good conversation.
Later, boys.
Later.